the numbers 1991 are significant in Detroit, not just because that's the year, but these two guys, of course, are two of the prime players that are supposed to lead the Red Wings to the Stanley Cup. Yzerman, of course, involved in trade talks, and Fedorov singled out for individual play against Winnipeg the other night.
Well, a big deal today. We'll get more into that. Pat LaFontaine was traded. That may make it easier for Steve Yzerman to relax. Tough to play when you're thinking about being traded. For as far as Fedorov is concerned, yeah, he's got to use his wingers more, jump back into the hole and get the puck back. You can't play this game by yourself. As a result, Fedorov has been very frustrated the last 3-4 games. He's had enough chances probably to score 6 or 7 goals, but he hasn't got any.
Well, Brian Murray has said it many, many times. How far will this Red Wing team go in the National Hockey League? He said our top players will dictate that. Certainly, you saw two of them there, Yzerman and Fedorov. We'll see what they dictate tonight as the Red Wings play host to the Maple Leafs next live on Fox 50.
Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Jim Curry of Farmington Hills with the national anthems, and there's Grant Fuhr. We talked about him just a few moments ago, and yes, he did miss a team plane from Winnipeg to Vancouver when the Leafs were completing a road trip. No real explanation as to why he missed it. He did eventually get to Vancouver, did not play in the game. Vincent Riendo is making his first start in a Red Wing uniform. The last time he played, it was in this building, and he was not treated very well by the Red Wings, who played easily their best game of the season and beat Riendo 6-3. Vincent's last victory was with the St. Louis Blues against the Toronto Maple Leafs when he stopped 37 of 38 Toronto shots in St. Louis and a 5-1 St. Louis win. Dennis Morrell is the referee. Mike Civic, Mark Perry are the linesmen. We're underway at Joe Louis Arena. Brent Fedek across the line, makes a move on the defense, cuts in. Here's Garpenlov with a chance, and Fuhr just squeezing the pads together as he is tested early on. Get to the scratches right away here as you look at the officials working the game tonight. For the Red Wings, the injuries are Chason, LaPointe, and Crowder. The other scratches are Alan Kerr, Brian McClellan, and Brad Marsh. We'll get to the Toronto scratches. Of course, Wendell Clark is out. He has missed the last 6 games, all losses for Toronto. Fedorov along the boards, makes a move to get away from Lehman. Fedorov between the circles, tries to cut in around Elliott. Fedorov still has it. Tries to dump it back along the boards. It comes to Fedek. Fedek dumps it toward the net. Fuhr will cover up as the Red Wing line of Fedek, Fedorov, and Garpenlov getting some early pressure on. In addition to Wendell Clark, the other scratches for Tom Watts, Toronto Maple Leafs Dave Hannon, Kenny Linsman, Tom Fergus, Lucien Deblois, and Alexander Gudinyuk.
You're talking about Fedorov as you look at Tom Watt. The head boss, of the Toronto Maple Leafs. David Fedorov is a guy who, with his individual talent, yes, he can make a lot of moves. He can beat people one-on-one, but it would be so much easier for him if he can get some work with his wingers and work the give and go and open the ice surface up a little bit. He'd take much less of a beating, that's for sure.
Probert lost his stick as he tried to redirect a Konstantinov shot from the point. Here comes Mike Foligno. Drop pass now for Krushelnyski, trying to get around Bobby Dallas, who's back in the lineup tonight after a strong performance against Winnipeg. And now Kevin Miller starts it back. He's got Probert on his right. Miller backhands it deep into the Toronto zone. Fuhr out of the net to bang it up the board. Krushelnyski couldn't get it by Konstantinov. Here's Yzerman in the corner, trying to dump it in front. It was blocked by Daryl Shannon. And the Leafs able to clear. Foligno, former first-round pick of the Red Wings back in '79. To Claude Loisel, another former #1 pick of the Red Wings, whose shot is deflected over the glass and out of play. Just to clean up some other roster notes for the Red Wings, Keith Primo, number 55, was sent to Adirondack. It was announced by Brian Murray after the game the other night against Winnipeg. They want Primo. Brian Murray said he wants Primo to get more work. Adirondack will play 6 games in 10 days, and he said at that point we'll reevaluate it and think about bringing Keith back at that time. And another move, Dennis Holland, a minor leaguer in the Red Wing organization, was traded to Calgary for future considerations.
Talked about the trade today for Pat LaFontaine. Several people involved. Pat LaFontaine, Randy Wood, and Randy Hillier from the Islanders to Buffalo for Benoit Hogue, Pierre Turgeon, Uwe Krupp, and McElwain.
Riendo tested for the first time in a Red Wing uniform, comes up with a big save and then smothers the rebound. Riendo, wearing number 37, still hasn't had a chance to get those St. Louis colors off the goal pads, if you will.
And it'll take a little time to get all the equipment coordinated with the new color scheme, because those goaltenders don't switch pads like you might switch a stick. You're pretty comfortable with a set until they're worn out. They go with them all the time.
Mike Bullard, the veteran number 22, won the draw. Here's Alkidis with a shot. It's blocked by Yves Racine. He loses it. Bullard's shot. And a save made there by Riendo, and a penalty coming up to Doug Crossman away from the play as he took the Toronto player Glenn Anderson down right into the net next to Riendo. And so the first power play of the hockey game will go to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Anderson got drilled in front of Riendo, but a dangerous giveaway by Yves Racine. And boy, they're lucky that the Leafs misfired on it. Well, the shot got on goal, and Riendo had to make a save. It didn't have a whole lot of steam on it.
Racine has struggled, Mickey. He was out of the lineup with a strained knee. He tried to kick the puck when he lost his stick in Quebec last Saturday night, kind of twisted his knee. But he is not off to a good start, to say the least. -5 on the plus-minus stats. Does not have a point in 6 games. And they look for him, of course, to score. Chance right off the bat. Riendo makes the stop. Tough angle attempt there by the Leafs. Did not get through. Shot from the point by Lehman. Well wide of the net. Ellett holds it in, but it's slapped away by McCrimmon. And all the way down the ice. Well, you mentioned the one deal. Of course, the Islanders made the other one. Brent Sutter and Brad Lauer going to Chicago for Adam Creighton and Steve Thomas. The Islanders with 6 new players in their lineup. You can throw away that media guide. A lot of new faces. Wings able to clear it here. You saw the special teams statistics. The Maple Leafs, surprisingly, as much as they have struggled, they are up near the top in both power play and penalty killing. They're 4th in the league on the power play. Here's a steal by Miller. Gives it off now to Yzerman. Yzerman lets the shot go. Fuhr the save. Rebound is loose in front. And it's Glenn Anderson sweeping in to get the loose puck. And goes up the left side for Daniel Marois. His pass broken up by Lidstrom. Marois, who has struggled for Toronto, goes back now to Lehman. Lehman checked by Yzerman. Miller tried to slip it back to him. It was blocked. And Miller is checked by Brian Bradley. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Crossman. Leafs with a man advantage. No score on the early going. Ellett across the line. Holds up from the right point. Takes the shot. It was blocked by Konstantinov. And Yzerman will just clear it back down the ice. Rink-wide pass from Shannon now to Bullard. Mike Bullard across the line. Bullard between the circles. Made a fake with the puck, but had it knocked away by McCrimmon. McCrimmon will start it back now with Fedorov and Eisebart. Dallas joins the play. Dallas across the line for Eisebart. Eisebart trying to get it back to Dallas, slapped away by Fuhr. And here come the Leafs again. Pass up the left side now for Pearson. He sends it back in behind Riendo. The penalty to Crossman has expired. Red Wings right now have 3 defensemen out there. And a penalty coming to Brian Bradley as he put the arm around McCrimmon. And so the Red Wings will go on the power play. No score in the hockey game. We'll be back in a moment. For 50. Brian Murray the other night, Mick, especially talking about the 2-minute, 2-man advantage they had against Winnipeg, said, we need to have more forwards in front of the goaltender. If we're going to take those shots from the point, we've got to at least have somebody screening the goaltender and have an opportunity to pick up rebounds.
Well, if you don't, you make it pretty easy for them just to pick it off from 55, 60 feet out.
Lidstrom carries it all the way into the zone. Gallant tried to get it to Shepard. Couldn't handle it. Shepard with a steal. Regains control for the Wings, but his pass went between the point men. And Lidstrom back center ice. Halfway through the Bradley penalty. 15-20 remaining in the first period. No score. Center ice. Here's Shepard. Carries into the Toronto zone. Holds up along the boards. Back to the point for Lidstrom. He was well covered by Foligno. Good job by the Wings to hold it in. Now Krushelnyski knocks it away. Michel Petit looks for an opening and did not clear the zone. Here is Shepard. Moves it now to Carson. Carson into the circle. Out in front. Trying to set up Gallant to the left of Fuhr, and it was Krushelnyski now who's able to clear it. Half a minute to go on this Red Wing power play.
Boy, no wonder Grant Fuhr's got a lot of work with a giveaway like that. I think it was Petit. You got to get that out of the zone.
Kevin Miller up the right side. He's got Probert and Yzerman with him. It comes back to Fedorov at the point to Racine. Now to Yzerman. Wings trying to spread it out. Really for the first time, Yzerman's shot is blocked by Glenn Anderson. Well up into the seats and out of play. We've talked about the tradition, long-time rivalry here. 22 times these two franchises have faced each other in postseason series. Each team has won 11 of those 22 series. And the Wings have won 56 of the 110 games. Boy, it goes way back. And we talk about the original 6. Toronto's had a team in the league going way back to the original year of the NHL, which was actually 1917-18. The Red Wings didn't come in till, or Detroit didn't come in till 26-27. They were the Cougars and then the Falcons before becoming the Red Wings. But a great rivalry over the years between Detroit and Toronto. Of course, the two teams will go at it again tomorrow night at Maple Leaf Gardens. Leafs control the draw, dump it down the ice. So Toronto, which gave up just one power play goal to the Red Wings in 10 chances in that first meeting in early October, have done the job here on Detroit's first power play advantage as Probert dumps it in wide of Fuhr. Probert in doing some forechecking, forces the turnover, dumps it back for Racine, but the pass didn't get through, and it comes to center ice for Marois. Marois got Halkitis coming for the net. Here's the pass. Halkitis couldn't get to it. He runs into the goaltender, Riendo. And we have a penalty, I believe, being called by Morrell. And they're doing a lot more to protect the goaltenders, Mick, and there may be a ruling here that Halkitis could have done more to prevent this collision than he did.
That's exactly the ruling, that you've got to make a better effort to avoid crashing into the goaltender, and Morrell is going to call that call right there if nothing else develops here. No score in the game, 14:01 to go, first period.
Mick, it appears we're going to have offsetting penalties. Halkitis went into the Maple Leaf penalty box, and I'm not sure who the Red Wing was, but somebody went in to the Detroit penalty box as well, and there's nothing up on the time clock.
Well, that second call may have come after the whistle had blown, as they were milling around down there.
2 minutes for interference to call against Halkitis. And Racine got 2 minutes for holding. He was the one that had a hold of Halkitis, if you will. So that's the ruling by Denny Morrell, so no power play. We've played 6 minutes here in the first period, no score.
I can't imagine that those two are connected, because if Racine gets a holding penalty before Halkitis gets interference, how do you blame Halkitis for running into the goaltender?
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Here's Cecil with an opportunity. A big stop there by Riendo. And Garpenlov now checked along the boards by Lehman. Puck out near the Detroit line. Rolled back between the circles. Here's Bobby Dallas coming up with a loose puck. He gets it to Fedorov. Rink wide intended for Garpenlov, and Daniel Marois stepped in front of that. Now Bob Rouse, the former Minnesota North Star and Washington Capital. He backhands it out to center ice. Konstantinov back to get it. Moves it quickly to Dallas. Dallas up the middle, hits Fedorov. Fedorov drives it in wide of Fjord. Big bounce off the boards for Fedorov. Took the shot. Fjord just held his ground and made the save. Bullard plays it up the boards to the line. It comes to center ice. Glenn Anderson checked right away there by Konstantinov, who did a nice job. And here comes Lidstrom now, leading the attack for the wing. Lidstrom dumps it to the corner. Now Rouse run into hard there by Mark Potvin. His first shift of the season. He injured his leg in training camp in Flint. He's out there now just throwing his body around. Oh, and Bullard retaliates. And now Rob Semeta is there as well. Mark Potvin just throwing his body all over the place. He's going to get the original penalty, and then Bullard retaliated.
It wasn't much of a call, I'll tell you, either, on the first penalty to Potvin, but they're going to even him up as Bullard will go back in for retaliation. No score in the game back after this.
After 2 minutes is going to go to Mark Potvin. He was going to get the original penalty, I believe, just for running into Bullard at center ice. Here's the hit, though, on Rouse as Potvin came off the bench. Talk about a kid that's eager to get his licks in.
Oh, good. Bob Rouse, no small guy either. .365 penalty minutes last year, that Adirondack. Didn't he have a bunch of records for major penalties?
Yes, he did. He got 4 minutes for roughing, and Bullard got 2 for roughing. Mark Potvin, indeed, 4 years, played collegiate hockey at Bowling Green. And 365 penalty minutes with Adirondack last year in 63 games.
I'm not sure that's a record you want to be proud of, mind you. Having about 40 major penalties, but a happy youngster down there. Got a little souvenir. Big Mike Civic. He came in the press room tonight.
I think they got to get through the door.
They got about 7-foot doors in there, and he had to duck a little bit. He is a big man. Can't tell him apart sometimes from Shane Heyer. Another big guy. Not only are the players getting bigger, the officials are getting bigger.
Well, the linesmen better get bigger if they're going to start breaking up altercations between 200-pound guys, and we are going to have a penalty here.
Interference or tripping to Toronto as Morel is really sharp. Calling him very, very close right here. It's going to be Peter Zezel, I think.
Mick Sunday, the Pistons will be in Toronto. That's right, the Pistons will be in Toronto, but the Maple Leafs can rest easy because the Roundballers will be there to take on the Dallas Mavericks. Join George Blaha and Ron Rothstein for all the special coverage in this matinee contest Sunday at 1 o'clock here on Fox 50, where we put sports in your face.
Glenn Anderson is the culprit for the Leafs, and not only has he gotten 2, but I believe he got a misconduct as well. Tom Watt screaming now at Denny Morel. Denny Morel's in an ugly mood. He's not taking anything here tonight.
I thought they originally, Bud Lynch on the PA announced Peter Zezel got the penalty.
Well, no, it wasn't Peter Zezel, although he thought it was. It's Anderson. They put 4 up on the clock for him.
Well, he may get the 2-minute penalty.
I saw Morel give him the timeout sign, basically, to the linesman.
Yeah, he got the 2 for tripping and the 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike. Yeah. So that negates the Toronto power play, which lasted all of 19 seconds. So we will play 4 skaters aside for 1 minute and 41. And then when Potvin comes out of the box, the Red Wings will have 2 minutes and 19 seconds of a power play. That's, of course, barring any other penalties being called here.
Now, you talked about Wendell Clark being out and scoring a bunch of points. He was on a roll and a half, boy, in the first 5-6 games.
5 goals and 4 assists in only 3 games.
Yeah, 3 games all he played.
That's all he played.
Seemed like 5 or 6.
Boy.
Every game they played, I think he had a hat trick one night.
Well, they lost the opener 4-3 in Montreal, then they beat the Wings 8-5, then shut out St. Louis 3-0. So they were off to a pretty good start at 2-1. Here's a chance for Miller, deflects it to the side of the net. Yzerman is checked by Michel Petit. Yzerman still has the puck. The Red Wing captain has it going here in the first period. Here's a chance, save made by Fjord.
That's the kind of thing we were talking about right there. With the Leafs in their own zone defensively, just not communicating. And right there, mind you, Yzerman's one of the best in the game at it. But he sure left a few of them standing still there and got a great scoring chance.
Well, you mentioned at the top of the show that maybe Steve Yzerman, as we take another look at it, can rest a little bit easier with the LaFontaine rumors off his back for the time being. LaFontaine going to Buffalo. And maybe with that burden off his shoulders, we'll see a little bit more of the old captain. And we certainly saw it in this sequence. Because regardless of what the situation may really be, what might be happening behind the scenes between Yzerman and Murray, or Yzerman and management in general, I don't think number 19 wants to leave Detroit, regardless of where the trade rumors are coming from.
No, I don't think so either. He's pretty settled here. He's been here a long time, of course. And it's difficult at any time when they're talking about trade. There's not much you can do about it. You can't control it. You might as well just go to work and do the best you can and let those kind of things take care of themselves.
Of course, he heard all the rumors about Lindros as he wins the draw here back to Lindstrom. And that bothered him all summer, and then getting cut from the Canada Cup team. It's been a long offseason and training camp and early part of this season for Steve Yzerman, who wants to just concentrate on playing hockey, I'm sure, as Miller stood up by Rouse. Rouse getting some help now as Brian Bradley takes over the loose puck. Each team a man short for another 50 seconds. Then Mark Potvin will come out to give the Red Wings a power play. Drop pass here for Elliott. Dave Elliott rolls it right in front. Krushelnyski couldn't handle it. And McCrimmon now starts it back for Detroit. Up the left side, he goes to Yzerman, who's got Miller with him. These two at the end of a long shift here. Yzerman will drive it back behind Fuhr. It comes all the way around the boards. Racine comes in to put a hit on Halkitis as the puck goes back deep in the Detroit zone. No icing here. As Crossman back to pick it up, and Yzerman and Fedorov come out to replace Miller and Yzerman. Fedorov across the line, tries to get through Halkitis. Halkitis gave it away there to Crossman. He goes back to Fedorov in the corner. Fedorov, his pass intercepted, and Lehman center ice, but there's Fedorov right away to take the puck back. Power play now as Carson comes out of the box. He was serving the first 2 minutes for Potvin. Red Wings have the man advantage. Back to the line for Racine. They move it to Fedorov. Fakes the shot. Fedorov still has it. Now moves it to the corner for Carson. Carson back to the point for Racine. Yzerman setting up a screen in front. The shot does not get through as Yzerman is dumped. The Leafs able to clear.
Well, you got to get that puck through back at the point. You got guys in front of the net taking a beating, and it's all for naught when you don't get it through.
Here is Carson now across the line. Drops for Shepard. Shepard tried a drop pass there for Racine, who was coming in. The pass did not get through. Now Rouse tipped it past Carson. Gallant with a hit there on Petit. Shepard helping out. Puck squirts loose, and here comes Konstantinov. He's checked by Foligno. Puck held in by Shepard. Back to Konstantinov. Gives it off to Shepard. Shepard winds up for the shot. Deflected wide of Fuhr. Nobody saw it for a moment. It comes back up to the point now. Konstantinov back to Shepard. In deep now for Carson. Carson between the circles to Konstantinov. Konstantinov didn't have the shot. Now it comes to Carson. He shoots, and a save by Fuhr.
Good stop there by Fuhr. Nicely set up by Detroit.
Boy, you had to move that right pad to catch that blast by Carson.
That's good movement, though, right there.
There's a steal by Krushelnyski. He starts it back for the Leafs up the left side. Krushelnyski rolls it to the side of the net. Riendo stops it there and now moves it to Gallant with 40 seconds left in the power play. 9 minutes left in the first period. No score. As Gallant drives it across the Toronto zone. Dave Allen is there. He plays it up the boards. Look out, that may have hit the referee, Morrell.
Yzerman, I believe, knocked him down.
America's Most Wanted, which was not seen tonight, so we could bring you tonight's Red Wing action, will be on tonight at midnight. Join John Walsh as he profiles the most wanted criminals in America tonight at midnight, right here on Fox 50.
I'd say that Pat LaFontaine was wanted by a lot of people. I'm glad to see that that thing for LaFontaine has worked out. He's a good young man, good hockey player. And the NHL and the fans are the losers when a guy like LaFontaine is not in the lineup for somebody. There's the good movement that the Wings just had. And look at Grant Fuhr in perfect position. Those goal pads look 2/3 the size of Grant Fuhr. Great big white pads. But Jimmy Carson ended up in a great opportunity to score. but he had nowhere to go with it because of Pure.
Here you see the time remaining on the power play. You know, we talked about Pure missing that play, and he did have some ligament damage in his right hand, his catching hand, and that's why basically he didn't play against Vancouver last Monday night.
A lot of people questioned the trade that Toronto made for Grant Pure, based partly on the fact that Pure has a high goals against. But the big plus for Grant Pure that a lot of hockey people will tell you is if it's a 7-6 game, Grant Pure won't give the other team that 7th goal. He makes the big save when he has to. And in a wide-open Smythe division, they're going to have higher averages per game because they do play it a little more wide open.
Penalty for the Leafs has expired. The teams are at full strength as Probert has it deep in the Toronto zone. Bumped in the corner by Bullard. Probert fights that off, gets it to Miller. Back to Probert. Bullard tries to tie him up. Now Kevin Miller comes over, digs the puck loose, tried to pass it to Yzerman. The pass didn't get through. Yzerman goes over to pick it up. Yzerman checked by Rouse, and now the puck deflects off the glass. Held in by Detroit. Yzerman had it knocked away, and Krushelnyski able to clear the zone. Yzerman at center ice again. The Leafs checking well here in the first period. Don't look like a team that's lost 6 in a row. Here's Semena, drops it back. A chance there by Bullard, and he fired it high and wide as that puck was bouncing on him a bit. Dallas back behind his own net. Giveaway there as Bullard with the steal. Dallas goes over to tie him up. And Yzerman now flips it down the ice, and this will be icing. As Rouse touches up with 7:12 remaining in the first. No score.
Well, I hope that you'll join us between periods. John Burr will be our special guest, and Burr trying to get some points. 2 goals so far in the 8 previous games. Out-of-town scores, a couple of other games going tonight. And Buffalo leading San Jose 1-0. First period, Audette with his 3rd of the season. A little bit later on, Philadelphia plays out at Winnipeg. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Ray. We'll keep an eye on that Philadelphia score. Speculation was that Ron Hextall might be ready to play in that game. Coming off of his suspension for an incident against Detroit in the preseason. That was a 2-line pass there. There's Mark Potvin, originally drafted by the Red Wings back in 1986. He was the 169th player taken overall. Hurt his leg during the first week of training camp up in Flint, and basically was assigned to Adirondack but stayed in Detroit to recover, and is in a Detroit uniform tonight.
If he can learn to play a little bit and develop his skills, fewer players bring more heart to the game than Mark Potvin does. But he needs to work on the offensive part of the game. Get a little more honed, if you will, in playing this game up and down the wing and trying to get some scoring opportunities.
Potvin out on a line now with Burr and Yzerman. Here's Burr. He is onside as he carries into the Leaf zone. Burr with a blast. Pure made the save. Loose puck at the side of the net. And Pure has it covered up. Good opportunity there for Yzerman and Burr. And Grant Pure has been sharp as the shots just 6-5 favoring Detroit, but the Wings with the better chances. No score. This game had faced 224 shots in his 6 previous appearances. Almost a full 40 per game. He faced a lot of shots at Edmonton.
And the first inkling of anything fireworks for these two teams. 6:38 to go. No score.
Well, as Mickey mentioned, Craig Berube, during his days with the Philadelphia Flyers, got into a few tussles with tough guys around the league, including Bob Probert.
There's Probert decking one of the Leafs. I'm not sure who it was. It's number 4. Dave Ellett, and there comes Berube with a cross-check on Probert. I'm not sure how he got cut. Berube can throw him pretty good.
Probert got one good right hand pretty early in the altercation, and that...
Berube last year, 293 minutes for Philadelphia.
Rossine's low shot handled easily by Pure. Berube and Probert each got 5 minutes for fighting, but Berube could have gotten an extra 2 there. Here come the Leafs now. It's a 2-on-1. Lehman up the right side, blasts the shot. He fired it right over Rando's head. Comes all the way to center ice. McCrimmon plays it ahead. Yzerman tips it deep into the Toronto zone. Bob Rouse back behind his own net. Moves it quickly to Zezel. Zezel, dangerous cross-ice pass. Miller nearly intercepted. Here comes Daniel Marois. Poke checked off of his stick by Konstantinov. Wings bail to clear as Zezel sends it across the Detroit zone. Konstantinov able to get away from the Marois check. The pass off the skate of Yzerman. Rouse recovers for Toronto. Rouse plays it up the boards, and they waved off that icing.
Strange play.
Yeah, I'm not sure who could have played that puck for the Wings.
George.
Yeah.
The sixth skater, yeah.
The invisible sixth skater. Lidstrom back at center ice. 5.5 to go in the first period. No score. Garpenlov along the board. Lets it go. Fedek now with a skate. He couldn't control it. Anderson cleared. Here's Fedorov. Oh, he checked there by Anderson, and a penalty coming to the former Edmonton forward. No score. We'll be back after this with a Red Wing power play. That's Anderson on the right that just went in for tripping. Craig Berube with the towel up to his face is in there serving the major penalty. Just to finish the thought on Berube, of course, he went from Philadelphia to Edmonton in the deal involving Jari Kurri, as we have another look at the Anderson penalty. And then he came to Toronto in the deal involving Grant Fuhr. So Berube never played a game in an Oiler uniform, although he was their property for a while. Here's Crossman in front for Gallant, tipped, and Fuhr able to make the save. Now Dave Ellett plays it up the glass. It gets by Crossman down the ice, and the Red Wings on their third power play of this first period with 5:05 remaining. No score in the hockey game. The shots are now 9-5. Fedorov makes a move to get away from Foligno. Carries into the Toronto zone. Drops it back to the line, and unable to hold it in is Doug Crossman. He goes back to retrieve at center ice. Fedorov back for Crossman. It hops over his stick. The puck really seems to be bouncing.
The Wings are not sure where they want to go with it. They're making low percentage plays and passes right now.
That's a delayed offside. The Wings didn't realize it.
Yeah, they're almost passing it back to where the Leafs are and putting the guy receiving the pass in all kinds of trouble. He hasn't got anywhere to go.
Detroit and Toronto have faced each other 7 times in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Red Wings won the first meeting in 1936, and Toronto has won the last 6 confrontations in Stanley Cup final competition. Of course, the way the divisions have been set up now for many, many years, you would never have a Detroit-Toronto Stanley Cup final. But the last time Toronto did it, I believe, was in the early 60s, 62 and 63.
Those teams under George Punch Imlach. Boy, they had some great players. Veteran players. Alan Stanley, Tim Horton, Bobby Bond, Carl Brewer, and all those guys. Kent Douglas. Eddie the Entertainer Shack.
Yzerman along the boards, had it knocked away, and Rouse able to clear it. Well, the Maple Leaf penalty killers are making it difficult for the Red Wings to gain control of that Toronto blue line and then set anything up. Racine goes to Lidstrom across the line. He dumps it in behind Fuhr. Miller waiting on the boards, dumps it behind the net. Yzerman got a piece of it. Now Lidstrom is checked over there by Krushelnyski. Yzerman jumps on the loose puck. Dumps it back behind the net for Yzerman. Out in front for Yzerman. It's tipped away as the Leafs closed up that opening very quickly. And the puck driven off the glass past Lidstrom. 3.5 remaining in the period. Down to 15 seconds left in the Anderson penalty. Here comes Miller across the line. He is checked hard by Halkitis, who plays it around the boards coming off the bench. Konstantinov just able to hold it in. Out to the point, Lidstrom. Bouncing puck, unable to control it. Now Miller, he could not hold it in. Anderson is out of the box, and the Leafs are back at full strength. Here comes Anderson. Winds up with a shot, deflected just wide of Riendo. So the Toronto penalty killers again come up with a big effort. Berg, giveaway there. Stepping in front of the clearing attempt was Bullard. Now Foligno back to the line. Ellett dumps it to the corner. Anderson has it there. He dumps it behind the net. Bullard trying to wrap it out in front. And the puck intercepted by Yzerman. He's got a man open up the right side. He hits front. Fedek and tries. Fedek with a blast. Sure the save. Rebound deflected away from Burr. And here come the Leafs now. 3-on-2. Up the right side for Anderson. Rolls it toward the net. Intercepted by Fedorov, and he gets it to Sean Burr. Back for Fedorov on the give and go. 2.5 to go in the period. Fedorov leaves it for Brent Fedek. Fedek for Burr. Leans into the shot. Tipped in front by the defenseman Halkitis, and Fuhr had to be sharp to get the redirection off his own teammate. Pass to center ice now. Fedorov goes up the left side for Crossman. He drops it back. Fedorov rolls it across the Toronto zone. Ray Shepherd has it there. Back for Gallant. He rolls it back out to the right point. Crossman to Shepard. Now Bullard. Checked by Fedorov. The puck up in the air out to the line. Held in by Dallas. He goes back to Fedorov at the top of the circle. Across for Shepard. Shepard takes the shot. One chip wide of Fuhrer as Gallant was setting a screen. And Semeta now for the Maple Leafs. Rolls it all the way back into the Detroit zone. 1:45 left in the period. Gallant goes to Carson. First to speed. Coming in on Fuhrer. Carson scores! Jimmy Carson with his team-leading 6th of the year. And it's 1-0 Detroit.
Grant Fuhrer got a piece of this. But Carson went back to where he left on the left side, deked and went to the forehand and went back to the left side. Crossman starts the play out up the middle, and it's Gallant 17 who hit Carson, who split the Leaf defense. Nice little move right there, and where Carson came from on the left side, he tucked it back as he went to Grant Fuhrer's left. Here's a look at it from the other end. Just off the end of the trapper and inside the goal post. And with 1:33 left in the period, Wings are up 1-0.
Well, we saw a shot at Gerard Gallant a few moments ago. He's still looking for his first goal, but he's looking a lot more comfortable physically, recovering from that back surgery. He's made a couple of nice plays. He set up a goal here the other night for Ray Shepard against Winnipeg. And a nice pass up the middle there for Carson. Bouncing puck for Zezel. Strips it away from Racine. He had Marois in front, didn't get it to him right away. And Riendo is able to cover up. Walt Disney's World on Ice returns to the Joe Louis Arena November 12th through the 17th with an all-new double feature show. See the Disney pals visit their Jungle Book friends that get ambushed. Roger Rabbit and his video machine, Chippendale, and Darkwing Duck are all featured in this year's show. Tickets on sale now at the box office and all Ticketmaster centers. Walt Disney's World on Ice right here at the Joe Louis Arena as you look at part of this big crowd. Enjoying the action here on a Friday night. As usual, a lot of people from the Canadian side. Here's Fedek going wide on Gill. Gill with a diving poke check, made a good play. Now Garpimov knocks the puck loose for a moment. Lehman trying to find an opening, but he's checked by Fedorov. Fedek goes back to Fedorov. Fedorov to the line for McCrimmon, tipped away. And Lidstrom chases it back with less than a minute to go in the period. That puck hit the linesman Civic. Here comes Lehman across the line. Lehman makes a move, tries to cut in, loose puck. Riendo is down, and it's swept just wide by Marois. Marois has it again. Goes to the corner for Zezel. Zezel back to Marois. He fans on the bouncing puck as the Leafs get their first sustained pressure in quite a while here in the first period. Kicked out to the side of the net. And the Wings able to clear it to Fedorov. Half a minute left in the period. Up the right side for Fedek. Back to Fedorov. Garpimov cuts for the net. Fedorov in front. Backhand chance here for Konstantinov. Was blocked by Ellett. And the Leafs rush it back the other way. Bullard up the left side. And that play was offside as coming off the bench was Mike Krushelnyski, who found himself wide open for a moment.
It's opened up here in the last 5-6 minutes of play. Both teams jumping pretty good. Only the one goal by Jimmy Carson coming up in about 15 seconds. Jay Lane with the talkative Sean Burr. He's usually got lots to say. We'll do some work on the telestrator, see what's been going on in the first period, and our player of tomorrow. All coming up very shortly.
And you're going to try to get some of your voice back.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a penalty up on the board here for Toronto. There's been some discussion down. I'm just wondering, the way that whistle blew, Mick, it was almost before there was an offside. As you look at Probert in the...
It's Fedorov is out there with him. Krushelnyski was definitely offside on the play, taking the pass.
Just wonder if there were too many men on the ice.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Too many men on the ice. But they got it up there for Toronto. Now what's...
Yeah, that's what I was wondering with Krushelnyski taking the pass. I thought...
I'm trying to figure out what...
No, we saw that was a shot of the bench. That's a penalty box.
I thought it was a penalty box.
You see a shot of Probert, you expect it to be the penalty box.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah. I said, what the heck is Fedorov doing over there?
I was going to mention about Probert. He cannot, of course, play against the Leafs tomorrow in Canada. That'll be the third of 13 games the Wings play in Canada, and unless things change as far as his immigration status, of course, Probert cannot play in those games. But indeed, we have a bench minor penalty. .1944 the time of the penalty. So the Red Wings will have a power play for the last 15.6 seconds of this period. Of course, it will carry over if they're unable to capitalize. Konstantinov moves it to Bobby Dallas. Back to Konstantinov. You see the clock running down. Burr will dump it to the corner. And the Leafs Elliott took a hit there from Potvin. Loisel looks to clear, and he does. And so the Red Wings will start the second period not only with a 1-0 lead, but Grant Fuhr will be facing a Red Wing power play. Stay with us as we promised you in our first intermission. Ray Lane will be along to visit with Sean Burr. We'll have that and much more right after these words.
And thanks to the goal by Jimmy Carson, his 6th of the season. And so the Wings right now with the 1-0 lead. Play really belonged to the Red Wings in the first stanza, except for maybe a 2 or 3 minute period late in the first period. And Sean Burr, who is due in here pretty soon, will... just looking to see if that was Sean coming through the door. Not yet. Had a couple of good scoring opportunities, and hopefully we'll be able to talk with him about that when he gets over from the Red Wing dressing room. Besides this game going with the Maple Leafs tonight, as we told you, 2 other games going tonight. One a late starter out of Winnipeg, and we'll keep you up to date on those scores as we go along this evening. And talking about, as we came on the air, the tradition between these two teams. A couple of members of the original 6 of the National Hockey League, the Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coming into this game tonight, the Red Wings had dropped 3 straight to the Maple Leafs, and that carried over from the last 2 games that they played the Maple Leafs a year ago, last season, and then losing the opener 8-5 up at Toronto on October the 4th. And as we mentioned, this is the second game of an 8-game series between these two clubs, and it got a little feisty there in the first period. The Red Wings picking up 3 of the penalties, and the Maple Leafs picking up 7 penalties, including that last one called for too many men on the ice. Out-of-town score now. Buffalo has picked up another goal in the second period. Buffalo leading San Jose 2-0. And San Jose, by the way, giving up the most goals of anybody in the National Hockey League, the expansion club. Audette and May so far the scores for the Sabres, and both with their 3rd goals of the season. Later on, as we told you, Philadelphia Flyers playing out at Winnipeg. Has anybody seen number 11, Sean Burr? We're still on the lookout for him, and it doesn't seem possible that Sean would be playing in his 6th National Hockey League campaign with the Detroit Red Wings. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Red Wings and what's going on between the Red Wings and Maple Leafs tonight. Right now, let's take a pause and a message from Arby's. And a way I'll put this and sort of paraphrase it, with the ice time that you're getting.
Well, actually, we've been playing 4 lines most of the year, so everybody's, their production is going to be down a little bit. But that's, the main goal is to win, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think over the long haul, 4 lines will be good for a winning record. But I think as a team, we're a little bit, goalies have been the first star, I think 5 times we've played them. So we can score some more, and I think you're going to see more tonight.
What about the guy you have in the net tonight, Riando? Does this give a little bit of a rest and maybe a little more confidence for your other goaltender, Tim Chevalier?
Well, it puts a little pressure. I mean, every player kind of has to have a little bit of pressure, and Tim really didn't have it because he's going to play whether he played well or played bad. And, now you got to produce because you got another goalie that's real good that's going to step in there. And if you don't play well, then another guy's going to take your job. And it just makes the competition, makes you play a little better.
Talking about competition, talking about this team, this is the 2nd year now under this regime, and things falling into place now for the entire roster.
Yeah, I think things are. I think guys are getting used to each other. I think when you get used to playing with guys, you're going to see a lot more goals. But right now there's a lot of weaving and crossing. Not everybody's quite sure where they're going. So I think as you get used to players and playing with them, I think there's going to see a lot more goals.
Time for the commercial. You had your first hockey school this year. It was successful. What about next year?
Yeah, I'm going to have it again next year. Same time, I think, first 2 weeks of August. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot harder work than I thought it was. But it was fun. I'm going to do it again this year.
Okay, that's our special guest, Sean Burr. Good luck to you, Sean. Thanks for dropping by, whether you were on time or not. Hey, good luck the rest of the game. Now, don't go away. We've got this message, and then we'll come right back to Joe Louis Arena.
Of the scoring chances.
They got the quality chances, that's for sure, but that Toronto defense, as we talked about in the top of the show, is really lax back in their own zone. They just don't seem to be covering the Red Wings and they've got to do a much better job. But this is nothing new, as Grant Fuhr, as you pointed out, has been facing almost 40 shots a game, so they have got to tighten up the ship back in their own zone, or they're going to give up a lot of goals.
We talked about the Red Wing power play, and the only thing the coaches care about is results. The Red Wings still didn't score, but right here, Mick, much better movement.
Much better movement. As you'll see here, we got Shepard and Carson are the main two guys. Konstantinov is on there as well. And as we go ahead and roll the play, watch how the Red Wings rotate back and forth. The point into the boards. Jimmy Carson's down in deep, down to the right of Grant Fuhr there. Now Carson will rotate and come back up the boards here. Opens up to Konstantinov. Go ahead and roll it. There goes Shepard across the middle. He goes into the net to tie up traffic. And Carson will use the point now and start to spread things out. This gets the defense moving around. And watch what will happen as we continue to run it here. Carson goes back to Konstantinov, goes over to the other side, and watch the pass come right through to Carson here, and he gets a great scoring chance on Grant Fuhr, who played it perfectly when he saw the puck come across. Look at Fuhr, right in position, boom, and that's Grant Fuhr at his best right there. But that's the kind of movement that Brian Murray's looking for on the power play. They do it like that, move it like that, spread out the defense a little bit. They're going to score some goals getting chances like that.
All right, Jimmy Carson does have the only goal. It's 1-0 at the end of one period of play. Let's go now to our Little Caesars player of tomorrow, a young man by the name of Ross Enmark. As you see there, Carson's team leading sixth of the year. It came at 18-27. When we come back, we'll have the start of second period action. The Red Wings on a power play with that 1-0 lead. We'll be back in just a moment. Mr. Tinsey, who lives in Pigeon, Michigan. You know where Pigeon is, Mick?
I do not. No, I don't.
Have you heard of Pigeon, Michigan?
I've heard of it, but I'm not sure exactly where it's located.
All right, well, he is 90 years young today.
That's a big wow.
Yeah, that's a big wow. That's right. Also, get well wishes to Mr. Pat Crossan of Livonia, currently in the hospital following knee surgery, watching the game tonight here on Fox 50. Also, a special welcome here at the Joe Louis Arena to the executive committee from USA Hockey and the Michigan Amateur Hockey Association, who are in attendance tonight. They are guests of the city management people, Tony Suave, up in their suite tonight, and we welcome them to tonight's action between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs, and the Wings on the power play as we start the second period. For the Wings, this is their fourth opportunity. They are 0 for 3, but a good chance here to try to put the Leafs into a two-goal deficit. Fedorov will skate it through center ice into the Toronto zone. Gives it off to Miller. Miller dumps it behind Fuhr. Didn't have enough on it to get it by Glenn Anderson. Anderson able to get it by Lidstrom. And all the way down the ice. Fedorov out of his own zone. Drops it back for Yzerman. Quick pass now for Lidstrom. Lidstrom carries across the line. Goes to the corner now for Miller. Miller checked by Rouse. Yzerman there to help out. Yzerman moves it to Miller. Dumps it out in front. Probert is there. The shot deflected just wide of Fuhr. Here's Yzerman again. 45 seconds left in the power play. Comes to Fedorov. Fedorov lets the shot go, and he put it right into the midsection of Anderson, who blocked it. And Lidstrom back inside his own line to get control. Yzerman flips it across now for Fedorov. Fedorov drives it in wide of Fuhr. Coming up the right side, Probert and Shepard. Shepard drives it back around the boards in the Toronto zone. Fedorov just tips it back to Carson at the point. He moves it to Lidstrom. Lidstrom lets the shot go. Fuhr the save. Had it batted away by Probert. Fuhr able to play it up the boards. Fedorov lost his footing, but still able to get a piece of it. Now the Leafs able to clear. Carson gets it right back into the Toronto zone, and Probert just offside on the left wing. Just in there ahead of the puck.
.6 seconds to go now in the power play for Detroit, due to the too many men on the ice for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Probert back after his fighting major against Berube. As Dave mentioned, he will not be in Toronto tomorrow. Back in action Monday night against the LA Kings.
Well, the Red Wings had their first big road trip of the season coming up mid-November when they traveled to Calgary and then San Jose and LA. Of course, Probert won't be able to play the game in Calgary. Will have to join the team for the two games out on the West Coast, and it's still got to be disruptive.
It is.
To Probert and to the team.
I talked to him the other day, and I said, how do you feel about having to be out and not play for a week, other than the fact that the thing isn't settled? And he said, it's really playing on him. It's bothering the heck out of him that he can't get in there. And it's almost a week that he went by before the other night being able to play.
Marois plays it around the boards in his own zone. Daryl Shannon able to clear it out to center ice. We're just over 2 minutes into the second period. The Red Wings with a 1-0 lead over the Maple Leafs on the goal by Jimmy Carson late in the first period. The Wings started the second period with the power play and managed one shot on goal. Here is Burr now to center ice. Able to bang it off the boards in behind Fuhrer. He stops it there, takes a look, plays it up the boards. Burr with a hit there on Anderson, and a penalty coming to Sean Burr,
Boy.
I believe. Now he took.
No, it's going to be Anderson.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe it might be the hit that Anderson put on Burr.
Well, his stick came up and caught Sean Burr, and I don't know if he's cut Burr, but Glenn Anderson's already spent 6 minutes in the penalty box tonight. He might have just stayed in Bermuda for all the time he's getting to play on the ice. And this is a major or not, we'll have to wait and see. 1-0 Detroit.
No power play.
Great
Face-off controlled by Bradley away from Carson. Shannon backhands it up the boards. Berube checked there by Konstantinov. They try to get it back to Berube up the boards. Konstantinov knocks the puck loose again, but the Leafs able to clear. Here comes Bradley now. Carries into the Detroit zone on the right wing. It comes back in front. A chance there for Pearson, and a big stop by Riendo.
There was. Excellent scoring chance for the Leafs. Maybe their best chance of the hockey game so far.
Sunday night at 6:30 on Fox 50. Catch Michigan's most talented performers on UVDO. It's Detroit. Here's a chance, Michel Petit. It's deflected in, and Riendo steers that to the corner. Daryl Shannon sends it back around the board to the wing zone. Gallant trying to clear it out, held in. Good job by Konstantinov to get right on Bradley before he could do something with that opportunity. Now Berube in the corner. Checked by Dallas. Now Dallas trying to play it up the boards. Gallant slaps at it, and it bounces to the line and out. Sent back in by Daryl Shannon, and the Leafs were trapped in there. Offside. There's Craig Berube, who came into this game leading the Leafs in penalty minutes with 37.
£400 of ice he broke on that spot right there. Probably broke a few blood vessels in there over the time as well.
And we got some karate going on next door, I think, over at Cobo.
He busted 400 pounds, 2 big blocks at center ice here in the intermission.
Here is Yzerman up the left side now for Yzerman. He's outside. Poppin cutting for the net. Yzerman hooked as he tried to get the shot away. And the puck slid wide. Here's Yzerman again. He'll be checked by Halkitis. Yzerman flips it back toward the side of the net. Poppin got a stick on it. Now Loisel plays it up the boards. Not out of the zone. Held in by Racine. He flips it back deep in the Toronto zone. Halkitis up the left side. Loisel just lets the puck go out to center ice. Loisel and Potvin jostling with each other. Crossman plays it now up the left side for Yzerman. He goes rink wide for Potvin, trying to get around Ellett. Drop pass for Yzerman. Yzerman cuts around Halkitis right in front to save Fuhrer. Crossman a chance, and oh my, how did Fuhrer stop that one? He was down on his backside, and the puck ends up over the glass out of play. But what a chance the Red Wings had there. 15:24 remaining in the second. It remains 1-0 Wings. Grant Fuhrer, who has made 13 saves in the 14 shots that he has faced. Have a look at this opportunity, Mick.
Mark Potvin knew what to do with it. He got it to Yzerman, tried to stuff it. There's Crossman with a drive. And I'm not sure.
No, it did not get through to Fuhrer.
It did not get through. It was blocked by the Leaf defenseman in front. But Fuhrer stood his ground again on number 19, Yzerman. But Mark Potvin made a smart play there. He didn't even handle a puck. It came right to him, boom, right to Yzerman, and went for the front of the net.
Fedorov wins the draw cleanly from Zezel. McCrimmon's shot steered aside by Fuhr. That looked like it would have been wide of the net. Icing being indicated here as Lidstrom down to touch it ahead of Gary Lehman. Now the karate championships are tomorrow night next door at Cobo, and they did have an exhibition here at first intermission. There's a look at Nicholas Lidstrom, who leads this team in the assist department with 6, including an assist the other night against Winnipeg. And the rookie just keeps looking better and better with each and every game. You talk about international players that the Red Wings have been bringing in. Some bad news. Vyacheslav Kozlov, the fine young forward on the Soviet Red Army team, apparently involved in a serious automobile accident and very seriously hurt. He's not going to be playing for quite some time. Apparently not life-threatening injuries, but could have been. Details are a little bit sketchy out of the Soviet Union, but Wings officials hope to learn more. Zezel tries to set up Marois. The pass was blocked. Here comes Fedorov. He's got Garpimov up the left side. Garpimov dumps it in front as Fedek was cutting for the net, but Fuhr able to intercept the puck, and he covers it up. Joe Louis Arena hosts one of the world's most famous entertainers on Friday, November the 8th. The chairman of the board himself, Frank Sinatra, brings his Diamond Jubilee tour to town for one show only. Special guests include Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. Tickets on sale now at the box office and all Ticketmaster locations. Now, Gary Lehman, one of the other guys we talked about. Anderson Lehman has to pick up some of the offensive slack with Wendell Clark out of the lineup. Lehman with 3 goals coming into this game. Had 51 goals a couple of years ago.
And it was a bad year for Lehman last year. Had a lot of problems off the ice. Only scored 17 goals, and a lot of talk that he would be traded out of Toronto.
Kevin Miller sends it across for Yzerman. He's pressured right there by Anderson. Yzerman rolls it in wide of Fuhr. Leafs play it up the boards. Miller got a piece of it. Konstantinov sends it back to the corner. Probert is there. Probert checked by Shannon. Rolls it behind the net. Yzerman checked on the play by Petit. Shot from the point by Dallas. Tipped over the top of the net. Semeta moves it now to Petit. Taken away by Yzerman. He plays it off the boards for Probert. He's open in the circle for a moment. Now Petit comes over to pressure Probert. Takes him off the puck. Leafs slap it around the boards. Konstantinov there to hold it in again. Back up the boards. It was up on the dasher, and Probert couldn't get the stick on it. Glenn Anderson starts it back now for the Leafs. Goes to Semeta. Back for Anderson. Anderson closing in for a shot, and it was blocked wide by Konstantinov. Centering pass by Bullard to Anderson. Intercepted Probert, Miller, and Yzerman started back now. 3-on-2 into the Leaf zone. Drop pass for Yzerman. Yzerman, quick shot was blocked as Petit went down. Yzerman between the circles. Sends it wide for Miller. Miller couldn't collect the pass, and a couple of Wings may be caught here as the Leafs come out 3-on-2. Bullard across the line with Anderson. Drops it back. Anderson cutting in for an opportunity here. Riendo is out on the puck. Went wide. We've got a penalty coming against Detroit. I believe it's Crossman that's going off for tripping, but the Leafs, with a good scoring opportunity there, will go on the power play, trailing Detroit 1-0 when we come back.
Crossman going to the penalty box. I hope that you'll stay tuned. Between the second and third period, Peter Zezel of the Maple Leafs will join us. And along with that, we'll be having some more from Mickey on the Telestrator. And then the ever-popular scouting report coming up, too. Back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Ray. Indeed, our next Red Wings telecast here on Fox 50 will be a week from Tuesday night when the North Stars come to town. Minnesota stumbling a little bit with that loss last night at home against Philadelphia.
That's 2 straight they've lost at home, and going back to last year and in the playoffs, boy, they had gone about 29-30 games and only lost 2 or 3 of their last games at the Met Center. And that's 2 straight they've lost this year after a pretty darn good start.
Remember I said Brian Murray said the top players are the ones that determine how far you go. Well, some of the top players are not producing right now for Minnesota. Mike Modano, 7 games, does not have a goal. Leafs here with a power play. Their third of the hockey game. They trail Detroit 1-0 here at the Joe Louis Arena as Elliott fires it in behind the net. Krushelnyski is there. Tries to get it out in front. Finally got it there. It's intercepted by Fedek. He breaks with Burr. And what have we got? Riendo down on the ice behind the play. I'm not sure what happened there, Mick.
Riendo hurt his leg on the play before when the penalty was called. Yeah. Cheveldae is going to get his stuff together. It looked like Riendeau went down pretty heavily. He's trying to explain to John Wharton, it looked like a muscle tightened up or something. But it was his right knee before when Anderson came flying to the front of the net and cut across the front, and the penalty was called. And this may be the same leg, a problem. See what happened there? Riendeau looks fine there.
All right, there he just went down.
Looks like it just gave out on him. As he was going from post to post, Krushelnyski in behind the net, and the leg just quit on him.
Well, Riendeau is going to be helped off the ice, and it looks like Tim Cheveldae will be forced in to action. 12:51 to go in the second period. Leafs on the power play. Wings leading 1-0. Riendeau had played 27 minutes and 9 seconds. Had stopped all 8 shots he faced before he went down. Let's have another look at it now from behind Riendeau. He appears to be moving fine back and forth there. Right there, he just the right leg just gives out on him.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's some kind of a cramp or a problem in the knee itself, we really can't speculate. But Tim Cheveldae, who for the first time this season did not start and expected maybe for the first time this year wouldn't have to play, is in the nets.
Certainly doesn't look very good coming off a trade a week before.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But maybe that is just a cramp, and they can hurt. Just as bad as a twist or something like that. Get a hamstring pull or something, and it seemed to happen. The leg just gave out on him.
Oh, not an easy spot for Cheveldae facing the Toronto power play. Elliott moves in for a shot. Cheveldae stopped. Rebound. Miroir fired it just wide. Zezel now along the boards as the Leafs try to settle it down with a man advantage. Lehman one times it from the point, redirected wide of Cheveldae, and Lidstrom finds an opening and clears it all the way down the ice. 50 seconds left in the Crossman penalty as it comes to Anderson. Cleared back outside the line. Dave Elliott drops it back for Lehman. Elliott up the middle. Good play there by Racine as he stood up and knocked Bradley to the ice. Here's a steal out by Eisenbart. Coming in on Grant-Fuhr. Backhand shot. He scores! A shorthanded breakaway goal. And the Red Wings lead it 2-0.
Well, Grant-Fuhr just missed this one on the backhand by Eisenbart, right between his legs and under his pad. And this play all set up by a crunching check by Yves Racine at center ice. And there's a shot by Eisenbart. Hit Fuhr and went down underneath him.
Paul Eisenbart, who has a few of his friends and fans from Sarnia here tonight, also played his collegiate hockey at Bowling Green. We talked about Mark Potvin. And for Eisenbart, the shorthanded goal, his 4th goal of the season. And a big goal that is to get the Leafs down by 2. Petit from center ice drives it in behind Cheveldae, and that ends up over the glass out of play. Fedorov gets the only assist on the goal. There's the numbers on Tim Cheveldae heading into this game tonight. That goals against slowly going down. The record 3-4-1. Of course, the goaltender of record in every game so far that the Wings have played. Puck cleared down the ice as we have only 5 seconds now left in the Crossman penalty. Brian Murray was asked this morning at the morning skate, Nick, what has surprised him the most about this team. He said, I thought we would finish our chances better. That play offside at the Detroit line. And Eisenbart finishing a scoring chance there to make it 2-0 Detroit. We'll be back after this. Back at the Joe Louis Arena, Dave Strader along with Mickey Redmond, Ray Lane down in our studios here at the Joe Louis Arena. As he told you a few moments ago, stay with us in the second intermission. He'll be visiting with Peter Zezel, who has picked up some of the scoring slack in the absence of Wendell Clark. And this play offside at the Detroit line. Another look at Mike Foligno, who came over to the Leafs December 17th of last year from Buffalo, along with an 8th round pick for Brian Curran and Lou Franciscetti. 2 1/3 seasons Mike spent here in the first part of his career with Detroit before spending nearly 9 full seasons in Buffalo. Dallas back behind his own net. Thought he was going to hit Carson with that, I believe, but Carson wasn't expecting it. And the Leafs able to hold it in. Konstantinov plays it up the board. Shepard chops at it. Todd Gilbo right there to hold it in. Leafs trying to get some pressure on with Chevalier replacing Riendo, who mysteriously went down, and we'll try to get a report on the injury to Vincent Riendo. Credit the Leafs, they have not quit working despite the fact that they've lost 6 in a row, as you just saw. And here's an outlet pass now for Carson. He's got Gallant with him, 2-on-1. Carson waits, tries to dump it across, and a good play by Bob Rouse, the one player back for the Leafs. He played the pass, and Fuhr was playing the shooter Carson. Carson finally just ran out of options. Here's Krushelnyski dumping it in front of, hopped over the stick of Foligno, but it came back to him, and he fired it just wide. Bouncing puck gets by Halkitis center ice. Shepard racing after him. The puck in behind Fuhr. Gill plays it up the boards. Rob Semeta plays it up for Krushelnyski. He looks to clear. Doesn't get it outside the line. Gallant sends it back to the corner. Gill rolls it back down to his defense partner, Halkitis. Bob Halkitis signed as a free agent this summer from the LA Kings organization. He'll carry into the Detroit zone. Drop pass now for Anderson. Back to Halkitis. Try to roll it in front. Now Crossman bangs it loose. Semeta centering pass. Good job there by Gallant, as he was in the right position defensively. And icing is called here with 9:37 to go in the second period. Red Wings with a 2-0 lead. His nickname over there was Gramps.
Gramps at 24 years old. Can you imagine?
Well, he looks a little older than 24 years, but he said, I don't know why they called me that.
So, well, of course, they're all coming up so young anymore, 17, 18, but I saw him in the dressing room earlier tonight. He's practicing that English a lot. How you doing, Flatter? Fine, fine. Very good, very good. He's practicing a lot. And, of course, his mentor is Sean Burr, same as Fedorov. And, of course, Sean doesn't talk a whole lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, eventually you mean these guys won't be able to know when to not talk. Puck bouncing around center ice here, back and forth between the blue lines. Nobody can get control of it. Marouin now will drive it for the Leafs in behind Chevalier.
Can you imagine that conversation at breakfast, the 2 Soviet players and Sean Burr trying to look at a menu in Quebec City?
Probert now center ice, carries into the Toronto zone, gets around Petit, tried to one-hand it in front. Ellett blocked it. Now slapped away by Miller. Taken by Lidstrom. He dumps it toward the net. Fuhr alert there to make the save. Now Zezel looking for an out. Eiserman right on top of him. Zezel, though, able to clear it down the ice. That was just an obvious icing to relieve the pressure, as the Wings were all over the Maple Leafs there. There's the all-time record between these two teams in Detroit, of course, going back to the days of the old Olympia. The Wings won 3 out of 4 against Toronto last year here at Joe Louis Arena. In fact, the Wings, I think the first 6 games of the season series last year, won 5 and tied 1, and then they lost both ends of a home-and-home in March. Not that the Wings had anywhere to go in the standings at that time, but they were trying to reach the 500 mark and fell short, finishing with 76.
Well, regardless of the records, Toronto usually plays pretty darn well in this building.
Now, Brian Murray was also saying this morning, yeah, they've lost 6 in a row. Wendell Clark is out, but this is a dangerous time to play a team. I mean, just by the law of averages, they're going to win eventually. And, of course,
Cliff Fletcher hopes so.
Yeah, that's right.
In Leaf notes off the ice the other day, Bill Waters is now the assistant general manager for all purposes. I talked to Billy before the game, and he's been doing radio and some television and radio for the Leafs for the last 5-6 years. Was a player rep, and all of that is going by the wayside after this weekend. The player rep business is over, and no more radio work.
Petit shot from the point, deflected wide. That was Bullard that was cutting for the net and got dumped. Here's Mark Potvin now, out on the line with Burr and Yzerbark. Now Burr deep in the Leaf zone, goes to Yzerbark behind the net. Potvin stationed right in front. Yzerbark comes out in front, still has it, pulls the trigger. Fuhr the save. Oh, a quick whistle there. A quick whistle as the puck came loose, but undoubtedly Morrell just lost sight of it.
So Potvin and Shannon.
Big Mark Potvin wants a spot in this lineup.
You betcha. You know he does.
Now, we talked about Troy Crowder being out with the back problem. Could be a couple of weeks. Of course, one of the big reasons the Red Wings acquired Troy Crowder was to take some of the pressure off of Bob Probert in the physical part of the game. And take a look at Paul Eisebart, who scored the shorthanded goal earlier, working some magic behind the net here.
Well, Eisebart got a good scoring chance. He got everybody jammed in tight. Look at, there's 4 Leafs in there. And Eisebart came back out to the hash marks, let it go, and Fuhr stood tall there. 17-9 shots on goal favored Detroit with 7:57 to go in the second.
Just to finish that story, of course, with Probert now unable to play tomorrow in Toronto, you can be sure that Potvin wants to be in that lineup. And while the Leafs do play well in this building, they generally play a more physical or at least aggressive game in their building. And now it's Berube, Bradley, and Pearson out there as Garpema backhands it in on Fuhr. Todd Gill back behind his own net. Gill nursing a broken finger from a fight that he had in St. Louis with Darren Kimball last week. Todd Gill, number 23 of the Maple Leafs.
There's another guy who's been all over the place. Speaking of Todd Gill. Played left wing, played defense. Talk about trading him.
Down to 7:31 remaining in the first period. John Wharton there, the trainer for the Wings, talking with Brian Murray undoubtedly about the condition of Vincent Riendo. We'll try to get word on that as soon as possible. Garpema working the boards against the defenseman Rouse. Now the puck taken away by Berube. Craig Berube sends it across. Nobody there on the right wing side for the Leafs. Pass back up the middle, nearly intercepted cleanly by Berube. And now Pearson has it knocked off of his stick out to center ice. Rouse lifts it ahead in behind Chevrolet. Crossman plays it up the boards. Held in at the line by Gill. No, it came outside the line, and he brought it back in offside.
Getting a little sloppy, David.
Yes, it is. Well, we've been talking a lot about the tradition and the history between these two teams, and this being the 75th anniversary. Mick, it was in November of 1938 that the league passed a resolution requiring all rinks have a timing lighting device behind the goal showing a green light at the expiration of each period. The new equipment made it impossible for the red goal light to be illuminated once the green light went on, and Toronto was the first NHL club to have a light installed in its rink March of 1936. A little historical note.
We're talking about maybe building another rink in Toronto. Montreal's going to do it. They're 5 years away. So all the oldies, Chicago, all the oldies are going by the wayside.
Boston, they've been talking about it there for a number of years. Leafs here on a turnover, get an opportunity. It's blocked in front by McCrimmon and cleared out of there by Carson. Carson, Gallant, and Shepard up front now with Lidstrom and McCrimmon on defense. The Leafs counter with Krushelnyski between Loisel and Foligno. This is Bob Halkitis working on defense with Dave Ellett. Ellett to Loisel, who tips it ahead. Shepard gets over there. Puck rolls into the Detroit zone, recovered now by Nicholas Lidstrom. Avoids Foligno's check there. Foligno took the worst of that into the boards himself. Pretty crafty move by the youngster. Carson plays it up the right side, held in by Ellett. His shot deflected in front. Chevrolet got a piece of that. Pressure here by the Leafs. Loisel rolls it back behind the net, taken there by Foligno. Foligno out into the circle. Wings trying to cover up on the Leafs. Here's a chance for Ellett, poked away by Shepard, and it comes outside the line. Halkitis back to get it. Intercepted now by Gallant. Tried to get it back for Carson, who was heading to the bench on a line change. They waved off the icing.